you need to see what's possible. You need to see somebody who's done it. You need to feel the vibration of what's inside of you, but in the grown-up version, in the mature version, in the fully emancipated version. You need somebody to awaken it in you, because sometimes, most times, almost always, it's dormant. And not only is it dormant, it's squished and squeezed and repressed. So I've shared this with you personally multiple times. I don't know how I survived my so-called 21st years. I am who I am. I was who I was when I was a boy. And I have a very unusual lifestyle, very unusual for your average person, for your commoner. And how I managed to survive in such mundane circumstances, in a routine, it's impossible. When I look back, if you would put me there today, I would shoot myself. Or I would kill people. Either or, right? So how did I survive? Well, that's what I'm trying to tell you. First of all, I had an accident when I was very young, shut certain parts of my brain down. Second of all, the diet. I was given a particular diet that numbed me and made me dumb. Third of all, television. Then when puberty kicked in, porn, jacking off, and all this nonsense. And I'm surrounded by a bunch of friends who I loved to death, but who were as dumb, if not more. So the point of what I'm trying to tell you is, whatever was in me was totally repressed. Could it be more repressed? I don't even think it's possible. So when I was at the brink of like death, so to speak, meaning my very, I don't want to say my soul because it sounds a little gay, but my very being was so squished and there was no hope, no meaning, then I met a teacher. And what did the teacher do? So we can get into yogic talk and all this and make it mystical and transmissionable, and it's great, we can do that another time. But at the end of the day, what did he do? First of all, I saw a person has the same thing I have, but mature, non-repressed, emancipated, and expressed in his everyday life. So that's what I saw. It's the first time I saw that. When I was a kid, my father had a friend, he was a priest. So I was around priests and we'd go to church, and when we would go to Egypt, we go to the Orthodox Church in Egypt, which is descendants of the so-called pharaonic tribes, and they have their monks in the middle of the desert. That was always there, and I would sit down and I enjoy myself and talk hours with them because I had so many questions and I really enjoyed it. But that never did it for me. That didn't unwind what was in me. It unwinds certain parts of my mind, made me think, made me dream, made me ask questions, but it never touched, again, I have to say, the soul of a man. Never touched my soul in that way. I don't like my soul because I don't have my soul. Anyways, I apologize. So I had to meet that teacher who, the same corresponding part in him was awakened and fully emancipated. And that woke me up. That activated it. You can call that process by any name you'd like. An initiation, an activation. I don't care. These are, for me, this is semantics. But what's really the process is like, I get you. And then I see that person, I'm like, oh wow, you're like me, but old. It's a very special thing to see. It's literally that. You're me old. Of course, he's not me, and of course, we're not the same person, but at the essence, we are. It's very strange, it's very hard to explain. Some people may have had certain experiences like that. And we are very different people. We have nothing to do with one another. Technically, we're not from the same family, we're the same country. We're not born in the same culture or religion. It doesn't matter. It's the essence. It's like, and that teacher pulls it out of this gross, like, numbness and pus pool of stupidity, and essentially you're brainwashed. Like, just pulls it out. How is another question. Good question. It's not the point today. And then just like, okay, so welcome. And, you know, an old teacher, so he doesn't have the time to talk about ABC. Just this is the gif of it. Now, good luck. I'm exaggerating, but more or less like this. And that sets you on a path. So I don't think, I don't know, I've said this before in last session, I've had so many teachers I don't think I can count, and everything I've actually studied in depth. Because there's a lot of things I study, it's different degrees, but the things I'm actually involved in that I've actually devoted myself to, I've had gurus. That's a word that your modern day person has deformed or made into evil. You know, it's called a marketing guru, Anthony Robbins and whatnot. This is not a guru, this is a teacher, motivator, not even a teacher, he's an entertainer, motivator. A guru is a teacher, it's a person who has the capacity to awaken something in you. That's a guru. There's different kinds of teachers, but that's how I'm talking about it. And I've had so many of those, and that's how I learned. And this was always clear to me. Like, I never felt shy about this, and in any field that I actually spent time and devoted myself to. And all my life after this, even if I'm just going to invest, let's say, a couple of hours or a couple of months on a subject, I hire somebody who's a guru, somebody at the top, because I learn from transmission. It's not what they say that I'm interested in. Let's say I met this guy, he's a martial artist, he's a master, like master, okay? I'm not talking about Yoda, and I'm not talking about a yogic master. I'm talking about a person who's understood at least to a certain degree, like Bruce Lee, imagine, right? You think you can understand what I mean? It's the vibration that I'm understanding. When he speaks, it's not the theory, it's the vibration in his nervous system of everything he's learned grounded within his tissues. This is what I receive. Let's say he gives me a punch, this is what I'm receiving. It's all that knowledge in his nervous system through his punch. I just need one, and I'm like, okay, I understand. Now, if I want to get the same punch as him, it's going to take me maybe X number of years. Fine, I know exactly how now. Because I felt it, I received it, I understand it. I have an experience of it. There's a door, I can see it. Now I just have to find my way there, and I know my nervous system got an impulse. It's like, that's what it is. So everything that is not that, I discard it. Everything that's noise, no, it's like, that's not the path. That's the path. That's how you get to that. And that's what real learning is, in my humble opinion. And that's why you go see people who know stuff. But the knowledge, there's theoretical knowledge, but it's the vibration. That's how I learn. I learn through transmission, by feeling within myself. And of course, then I do take the time to figure it out on my own. And I like to study on my own. Like, I don't care, adjust your arm, do this. No, fuck you. Let me figure it out. Like, once I got the transmission, then every student has their learning style. As long as it works, it works. No, let me just find my way through it. So that's how I learn. And that's how everybody who's really learning must learn. How else are you supposed to learn? My father used to tell me, what, you're going to reinvent the wheel? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to reinvent the wheel. He's like, why? You're an idiot. Why would you want to reinvent the wheel? Because I have to figure it out, I was telling him. So anyways, joke aside, that's how you learn. You receive. And especially when it comes to mystical arts or esoteric arts, or it's not true. Everything is like this, but especially the arts where we have to go towards the unconscious, towards the invisible, towards what's subtle. Because that's all the more complex. And the treacherousness of it is, if the material world is treacherous, this invisible realm is like treacherous times 10 million. It's incomparably treacherous because, number one, you're not acquainted with it. Number two, it's a language you don't know. Number three, you forgot all about this for so long, and it's dark. So, yeah, like I told you, good luck. So all these cats who are buying books and watching a DVD, and DVDs, I don't know if that exists anymore, but whatever, the equivalent of something online, I don't want to disrespect, this is fucking nonsense. You don't open your chakras by doing a meditation on YouTube. But anyways, everybody does what they got to do, and I respect that. That's not my problem. I'll just stay over there. But if you're really serious about this, is a science, and the essence of the science is you need a teacher. It's literally the essence. And remember, the teacher is coming to you, and the teacher has a teacher, and that teacher has a teacher, and that teacher has a teacher, and that teacher has a teacher. So if I gave you the example of Star Wars, or some kind of martial art movie, you'd be at ease with this. But when it comes to this exploration of consciousness or internal power, you feel uneasy because you're scared you're going to get brainwashed in a sect by Hindus or white crazy people, or people like myself for that matter. But if it's Star Wars, it's okay that Luke Skywalker has Master Yoda and you wish you had a Master Yoda too, or a Lord Sith with his, you're okay with that. But when it comes to real shit, not possible. But it's the same. It's let's say we talk about martial arts. Some of you will feel at ease with this. The secret is not the technique. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Imagine 1,000 years ago, let's say it started 1,000 years ago. It's more than that. You got a guy who's developed a certain kind of skill set. The skill set, let's say it's a repetition of techniques or learning. It doesn't matter how he learned. His body responds and his nervous system creates pathways. And these pathways, when we take them all and put them all together in one coherent thing, it creates a flow of energy that circulates in a very unique way. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Fantastic. So when that person now decides that he wants to teach a pupil, there's a flow that passes, and that flow is corresponding to the craft or the art that he's learned. It's a particular way of the energy and a particular kind of level of energy of circulating through the nervous systems, this nervous system that facilitates certain kinds of actions, certain kinds of movements, certain kind of responses, certain kind of your brain thinks in a particular way due to those pathways. Now these pathways are nicely anchored inside of him, and he comes to you and you say, please, I'd like to learn. His real goal is not to teach you the technique, is to activate that pathway in your nervous system. And he can do this just by his presence, because he vibrates that. It's like being next to a person who stinks. If you stay next to him, you start to stink. If you meet, you know them girls that put a lot of perfume? This is one of the things I hate the most on earth. A stinky perfume on a girl, I hate it. It stinks. And then when she comes and kisses you or gives you a hug, and then your whole shit smells like that crap, I hate it. Those perfumes are toxic, stay away. But what I'm trying to tell you is that if you get close to her, that perfume affects you. So the same goes for the nervous system. The nervous system is a current. And in that current in electricity, you got a current, and every current creates an electromagnetic field. So when you enter that electromagnetic field, it affects your electromagnetic field. And by affecting your electromagnetic field, it stimulates or activates or modifies or stimulates your current in your nervous system, which is your spinal column. And if you're receptive, which is at the essence what every student has to become, you start to tune yourself into this. Then, when the teacher gives you exercise, you're not really doing the exercise, you're learning to tune yourself to that frequency via the exercise. Because this school does that punch and that school do that punch, and they're doing technically almost the same punch, but the result is so different. So that's how learning is actually done. And in the martial arts field, your average person, especially guys, you don't fucking understand shit all about anything. It's not even mystical. It's basic electricity between me and you. But you guys are like so superficial with your stupid techniques and your discipline, and you're like, you don't understand fuck all from the feminine energy. And that is feminine energy. It's transmission. It's subtle. It's invisible. Which doesn't say that a person shouldn't and won't perfect, quote unquote, what you call technique. It's what I'm trying to say is that you don't learn the technique. That's not what the master transmits to you. So 1,000 years ago, you had a master, some kind of monk that taught his pupil and pupil and pupil. And each pupil then takes that power and takes it further, develops it, makes it more precise and expands it a little bit. So it's like a tree. Let's say the original Sifu gives you like the root and the trunk. And the second degree takes it and creates a couple of branches. But first has to master the trunk and the roots, and so on and so on and so on. And then you got all that nervous system. It's a particular level of the nervous system, and that's what he's transmitting to the sincere students. So that's how you're going to learn. How else are you going to learn 1,000 years in 10 minutes, or in a month, or 5 years? It's impossible. You'll never do it. You'll always stay at the surface. You'll always be a technician. And that's the difference between a master and a technician. So some people go, they study jiu-jitsu, they do it 10 years. They're amazing technicians, God bless them, but they're no masters. They don't get it. It's their cortex that has understood it. It's not the limbic system. It's not the deeper layers of the nervous system who are awakened to that. No, no, no. They're at the surface and they're trying to ram it into the core of their brain. It's not going to work. That's not how it works. They can try. Maybe 1 out of 1,000,000 will succeed. I doubt it. But who knows? Right? And there's another level to that because you say, yeah, but how did the first person learn? This is an excellent question. We'll address some other time. But the point is, that's what you get from the teacher. And so we have from one generation to the next. And then you come in, and if you're, dare I say, worthy, you receive this. And then they test you, see let's see what you're going to do now. Because a lot of people can squander it, throw it, not care about it, use it for their own benefits, whatever they'll do. And then some people are genuine, they're lovers of the game. They love the knowledge. And then they want in their own turn. And as you see, for 1,000 years ago, the world was quite something. And 1,000 years later, well, look at the world we live in, right? Things have changed a lot. In other words, the essence of the science or the martial art remains the same, but it has to adapt to the time. So each student or each generation is supposed to take it, and those who are destined to, supposed to, commissioned to, I don't know how you want to say, will take it, and then it's not you're transforming, you're adapting it. So that the people around you, or those who are sincere, who are looking for that knowledge, will receive it, but in a context that will resonate with them and make sense. But at the end, they're learning the same thing. But the language is that's what I was trying to tell you about. Well, if I was 20, 21, or 18 today, and I met this old man from India with a turban and a white beard, I'd be like, nah, it's not happening. I wouldn't get it. Not that I got it then, but I wouldn't have. Forget about it. The conditioning would be too much. My system would just like, no. Imagine you're a TikTok moron and you see a real sage. You wouldn't understand. So that's the key. That's what a teacher is. That's what a lineage is. That's what a living lineage is. That's what a living teaching is. And then you have elements or nodules in that currency or in that flow or in that lineage who share. So I've always looked for this. Always, I didn't know, and then when I started to understand the game of power, understand the game of knowledge, and I started to become a good student, because to be a student is the first thing you need to learn. You may think you're a good student, but you may not necessarily be. So when I started to understand that my first interest and only interest is to be a student, how to perfect studentship. I'm not saying I've perfected anything, but I'm definitely a decent student. If I can say so myself, decent, I'm not pushing it. But that's what I've spent my life, the past 25 years learning how to be a student. So then I became good at learning. So I could just go see a teacher, I just shake their hands and receive what I need. To learn. Learn, because my interest is learning. I just want to learn at the end of the day. Gain that knowledge, absorb it, see what it does with me, and how can I use it and potentially help others with it. So I've always, since I got into this, I've always looked for living lineages. I've studied Ayurveda. Ayurveda, if you don't know what it is the so-called ancient medicine system of India. Since 2003, I've been interested in it. And at the time, it was less popular. I've spent years in and out looking. I'm looking for a guru. I can't. Then I found some schools, will go in, kind of like dabble in. And I'm like, nah, this is dead. I can't spend any minute there. And at some point, I met the guru. And it's instantly, I'm like, you can feel it. There's something alive. And then when I understood who he is and who his father was and who his grandfather was and who his grand-grandfather was, I'm like, okay, you have a mission, right? There's a power. Maybe you'll understand this. So Ayurveda is a knowledge. That knowledge means there's a power. Indians will associate that knowledge to a deity. It doesn't really matter, but you can understand. And that knowledge and power has ebbs and flows through time, and at some point needs a revival. So it selects certain people, and it creates a recoming, a revival, right? A revival of the knowledge. It's like it comes again. And so these people are there. So when I met that guru, I'm like, yo, this dude, right? It's just like, there's something in his nerve. I can feel it. I can feel it immediately. And immediately because I'm a seeker and I like to learn, immediately there's a reverence, immediately I respect the person. It's not, he doesn't have to convince me. He doesn't even have to show me that he's intelligent. I can feel it. Because I've been around for a long time. I've met thousands of teachers from all walks of life in all kinds of categories. I know what a teacher is. I'm like, God bless you. God bless you, dude. God bless you. So anyways, this is part of being a student. This is part of learning, to understand how to learn and how the process of acquiring knowledge functions. And unfortunately, men, look at what, like, I'm not in the mood to insult anybody today, but yeah. So, yeah. I don't know, you're like, yeah. I'm gonna just go back with that one until I say you're fucking assholes. You're losers and you're a fucking bunch of losers. That's it. But I don't want to say that. I'll take that back. All I'm trying to say is there's no understanding of any process. And men's self-esteem and self-love is so weak that any person who knows anything for them is a threat. It doesn't even dawn on them, oh, I can learn from that person. No, the men are so confused and they're so emasculated and they're so weak internally that they're under the delusion that they're supposed to know everything off the top, right away. You already know and you're already better than everybody else. And that's what modern TV culture makes you pretend. Pretends that it is. It's that Star Wars episode 8. That's you. You're the bitch. Never forget that. You're that bitch. You don't need a Jedi to teach you. You already know. So that's that mentality. And that couldn't be further from the truth. It's unfortunate that people don't understand that. And men's self-esteem is so weak that the moment you present them somebody who has more power than them, they want to destroy that person. You're bitches. You've become bitches. You spend your day gossiping and he said, she said. I don't want to hurt your feelings, but you a bitch, man. You a bitch, man. That's what you are. So good luck. So I'm going to put this aside and finish what I was wanting to say. It's like, well, if men are so weak and so insecure is the word, then how are you supposed to learn? You can never take a teacher. So you're going to watch a movie and learn about Kung Fu. You're going to watch a movie and learn about spirituality. You're going to watch a documentary, right? And you don't even have the capacity or the endurance to start something and, I don't want to say suck because it's not the right word, but be a beginner. That means you're ignorant. You don't know how. Yeah, but you can't even stand not knowing how. Then how are you going to ever know if you can't start not knowing? And then learn. And then go through the journey of learning and the hardships of it. Because learning anything it's painful. It's hard. It's not easy. It's not easy on your pride. It's not easy on your mind. It's not easy on your body. It's just not easy. To learn anything, if you really want to learn it, it's not easy. Well, nowadays, very few people want to learn something. I'm not saying everybody. I'm saying a lot of people, they don't want to learn anything. They don't want to be confronted with their ignorance. Yeah, but this is so weird. Of course you're ignorant. How? Of course you're ignorant. And you're worried that idiots are going to laugh at you? Like I told you in a couple of videos ago, I said any person who succeeds understands the person who sucks. They don't laugh at you. They laugh with you, kind of, sort of. Because you suck. But that's the pleasure of being a black belt with a white belt. This is a metaphor or analogy, right? I remember being like this shit. Let's see what you'll do. He's not trying to destroy you. So any person who knows anything has been a beginner and has spent enough time and invested enough time and quote-unquote failed enough times to know exactly the process of learning. So you're concerned with what other losers have to say. And that's very unfortunate in my humble opinion. And you're concerned that a girl is going to catch you in that you suck. Yeah, so what you're going to do, you're going to stay home. And then you're going to live in a fantasy where you're better than everybody. right? But that's a fantasy. And even let's pretend for the sake of conversation that you got it in you to be better than everybody. You will never know. You'll just live it in your fantasy. And until you decide to go on the field of whatever domain that is and go through the struggles of being a beginner, even if you're like the most talented Jedi that has ever existed, like that bitch, you still got to go on the field and earn your stripes. And that's not easy. So, in my book, there is no learning without a teacher. Why would you want to learn without a teacher? That's what a teacher's for. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not, for me, that's not even a question. Well, do you need a teacher? I'm like, what a fucking stupid question. Who asks such a question? How do you fucking learn if you don't have a teacher, you fucking moron? Learning functions with student, teacher. That is like man, woman. How do you fucking have a kid? Man, woman. How do you learn? Teacher, student. Ooh. Well, that was a tough one. But you think you can go on the internet and learn on your own. Yeah, that's why your knowledge is pointless. It has no meaning, it has no purpose, doesn't transform neither you nor anybody else. But you can make a video on it, share on YouTube for another bunch of morons to watch it and click, and the world never changes. Just between me and you. It just gets dumber. So anyways, that's what I had to say in regards to the student-teacher relationship and the process of learning.